Welcome to Atlas Core Learns From, and today we're joined by Kristin Lord. She's president and CEO of IREX, an independent nonprofit organization dedicated to building a more just, prosperous, and inclusive world by empowering youth, cultivating leaders, strengthening institutions, and extending access to quality education and information, very close to Atlas Core's mission. She joined IREX in 2014 after serving as acting president and executive vice president of the United States Institute of Peace. Before that, she was executive vice president and director of studies at the Center for a New American Security. And she has also held leadership roles at George Washington University's Elliott School of International Affairs. So with all your experience in the think tank and international development world, Kristin, I want to ask you, how do you build great teams? What do you look for in great talent?
Well, what I look for when I build teams are people who think differently about the world and have backgrounds that I don't. I really like a team that works well together, where everybody is bringing something to the table. I really like to work as a collective. Clearly I'm the CEO, but I really like having a very strong team of people. I always feel like if I am the smartest person in the room, I'm definitely in the wrong room. And when I am looking at talent, I am always looking for people who take initiative. So at every level, even the most junior person, people who really see problems as their own, see opportunities as their own, and make some kind of step. We could do this better. We could fix this. We have an opportunity. To me, that always really stands out. That's a mark of great talent. Again, whether you're the most junior person in the organization or at the most senior levels, you'd be surprised how many people don't take the time.
I really appreciate that. And it reminds me of my own start into my career. Is there an anecdote that springs to mind when you describe that?
It's really hard to describe an anecdote or one person, but it just across the board, when I think of the people who have stood out to me, it's the people who are just willing to step forward.
And stepping forward, your advice to young, talented leaders out there that IREX, Atlas Core, and so many of our organizations are looking for, what would your advice be to them in addition to that?
Well, my advice is not to be afraid to do that. I'm really amazed at people think they will maybe get a bad reaction or they'll be bothering someone. I actually find that even the most senior people are quite generous in sharing their time or listening to an idea. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about hours and hours or weeks and weeks, but I feel like way fewer times than you would expect do people say, "Hi, I had an idea," or "I had a question," or "I was wondering if we could do this differently." And I think, just that tiny amount of, some people would say bravery can go a long way, but I think when it really comes down to it, you don't actually have to be that brave to do it. And so I would just really encourage people to maybe just lean forward a little bit more and speak up and share. We know you're brilliant, you have lots of ideas. Let the rest of us benefit from it.
So lean forward is something that we do at Atlas Core when we ask people for a fun fact, something that makes other people smile and that they don't know about you. I've shared mine. I'm inviting you to share yours.
So my fun fact is that before I had jobs like I have now, I had jobs like working on a tobacco farm and being a waitress at an Abdow's Big Boy, complete with a checkered guy with a hamburger who's holding it up. And the reason I wanted to pick this of many other examples is because we're talking about work and leadership. I think a lot of people feel bad when they don't get the opportunities to have the perfect internship or the perfect starting job. But one of the reasons I want to share these experiences is I did that for the money. And there were not a lot of glamorous options where I'm from, but I actually learned so much from those experiences, so much more than my friends who did fancy internships in many cases, that I just want to say, you embrace it all, and it may pay off down the road in ways you don't expect.
I completely can relate to that. One of my first and most formative experiences was working in a hospital, and I think I learned the most. And this was not a career setting. This was a service-oriented step in my life. Kristin, I appreciate it so much. This was all the time we had, and I would love to reach out to you again, as I know IREX and Atlas Core share a very similar mission and are engaged in furthering youth all across the globe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.